everybody! Today, Hani is going to read the last part of The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me, written by Loyal Dahl and illustrated by Quentin Blake. He stood there, waiting to see what the Duke was going to say next. "Now listen to me, all of you," he said. "Those diamonds were worth millions. Millions and millions. And you have saved them." The monkey nodded, the giraffe smiled, the pelican blushed. "No reward is too great for you," the Duke went on. "I am therefore going to make you an offer which I hope will give you pleasure. I hereby invite the giraffe and the pelican and the monkey to live in my estate for the rest of their lives. I shall give you my best and largest hay barn as your private house. Central heating, showers, a kitchen, and anything else you desire for your comfort will be installed. In return, you will keep my windows clean and pick my cherries and my apples. If the pelican is willing, perhaps he will also give me a ride in his beak now and again." "A pleasure, your grace," cried the pelican. "Would you like to ride now?" "Later," said the Duke. I'll have one after tea." At this point, the giraffe gave a nervous little cough and looked up at the sky. "Is there a problem?" asked the Duke. "If there is, do please let me hear it. I don't like to sound ungrateful or plushy," murmured the giraffe, "but we do have one very pressing problem. We all absolutely famished. We haven't eaten for days." "My dear Giraffe," cried the Duke, "how very thoughtless of me. Food is no problem around here." "I'm afraid it is not quite as easy as all that," said the Giraffe. "You see, I myself happen to be—" "Don't tell me," cried the Duke. "I know it already. I'm an expert on the animals of the Africa. The moment I saw you, I know you were no ordinary giraffe. You are the generous variety, are you not?" "You're absolutely right, your grace," said the giraffe. "But the trouble with us is that we only eat—" "You don't have to tell me that either," cried the Duke. "I know perfectly well a generous giraffe can eat only one kind of food. Am I not right in thinking that the pink and purple flowers of the Tinkle Tinkle tree are your only diet?" "Yes," sighed the giraffe, "and that's been my problem ever since I arrived on these shores." "That is no problem at all here at Hansfire House," said the Duke. "Look over there, my dear Giraffe, and you will see the only plantain of Tinkle Tinkle trees in the entire country." The giraffe looked. She gave a gasp of astonishment, and at first she was so overwhelmed she couldn't even speak. Great tears of joy began running down her cheeks. "Help yourself," said the Duke. "Eat all you want." "Oh, my sainted souls!" gasped the giraffe. "Oh, my naked neck! I cannot believe what I am seeing." The next moment she was galloping full speed across the lawns and whinnying with excitement, and the last we saw of her she was burying her head in the beautiful pink and purple flowers that blossomed on the tree tops of the trees all around her. "As for the monkey," the Duke went on, "I think he only will be pleasured with what I have to offer. All over my estate there are thousands of giant nut trees." "Nuts!" cried the monkey. "What kind of nuts?" "Walnuts, of course," said the Duke. "Walnuts!" screamed the monkey. "Not walnuts? You don't really mean walnuts? You're pulling my leg. You're joking. You can't be serious. I must have heard wrong." "There's a walnut tree right over there," the Duke said, pointing. The monkey took off like an arrow, and a few seconds later he was high up in the branches of the walnut tree, cracking the nuts and guzzling what was inside. "That leaves only the Pelly," said the Duke. "Yes," said the pelican nervously, "but I'm afraid that what I eat does not grow on trees. I only eat fish. Would be too much trouble, I wonder, if I were to ask for a reasonable fresh piece of haddock or cod every day." "Haddock or cod!" shouted the Duke, spitting out the words as though they made a bad taste in his mouth. "Cast your eyes, my dear Pelly, over there to the south." The pelican looked across the vast rolling estate. In the distance he saw a great river. "That is the river Heb," cried the Duke, "the finest salmon river in the whole of Europe." "Salmon!" screeched the Pelican. "Not salmon! You don't really mean salmon?" "It's full of salmon," the Duke said, "and I own it. You can help yourself." Before he had finished speaking, the Pelican was in the air. The Duke and I watched him at full speed towards the river. We saw him circle over the water, then dived and disappeared. A few minutes later, he was in the air again, and he had a gigantic salmon in his beak. I stood alone with the Duke in the lawn beside his great house. "Well, Billy," he said, "I'm glad they're all happy. But how about you, my lad? I am wondering if you happen to have just one little extra special little wish for yourself. If you do, I'd love to tell me about it." There was a sudden tingling in my toes. I felt as though something tremendous might be going to happen to me any moment. "Yes," I murmured nervously, "I do have one extra special little wish." "And what might that be?" said the Duke in a kindly voice. "There is an old wooden house near where I live," I said. "It's called the Grubber, and long ago it used to be a sweet shop. I have wished and wished that one day somebody might come along and make it to a marvelous new sweet shop all over again." "Somebody?" cried the Duke. "What do you mean, somebody? You and I will do that. We'll do it together. We'll make it into the most wonderful sweet shop in the world, and you, my boy, will own it." Whenever the old Duke got excited, his enormous mustache started to bristle and jump about. Right now they were jumping up and down so much it looked as though he had a squirrel on his face. My God, sir," he cried, waving his stick, "I shall buy the place today. Then we'll get to work and have the whole thing ready in no time. You'll just wait and see what sort of sweet shop are you going to make out of this Grover place of yours." It was amazing how quickly things began to happen after that. There was no problem about buying the house because it was owned by the Giraffe and the Pelly and the Monkey, and they insisted upon giving it to Duke for nothing. The builders and carpenters moved in and rebuilt the whole of the inside so that once again it had 3 floors. On all these floors they put together rows and rows of tall shelves, and there were ladders to climb up to the highest shelves of baskets to carry what you bought. When the sweets and chocos and toffles and fudges and donuts and began pouring in to fill the shelves, they came by airplane from every country in the world, the most wild and wondrous things you could ever imagine. There were gum tweezers and winkies from China, frost blowers and spitzers from Africa, tummy ticklers and gobwangles from the Fiji Islands, and lickers and push nuggets from the land of midnight sun. For 2 whole weeks the flood of boxes and sacks continued to arrive. I could no longer keep the track of all the countries they came from, but you can bet your life as I unpacked each new batch I assembled it carefully. I can remember especially gigantic wangdoodles from Australia, everyone with a huge ripe red strawberry hidden inside in its crispy chocolate crust, and the electric fizzlecocos that made every hair on your head stand straight up as soon as you popped one into your mouth. And there were niche nobblers and gum bloaters and blue bubblers and sherbet slurpers and tongue rakers. As well as all this, there was a whole lot of splendid stuff from the giant Wonka factory itself. For example, the famous Willy Wonka rainbow drops. Suck them and you can spit in 7 different colors. And this stick job for talkative parents. And this mint julep juice that will give the boy next door green teeth for a month. On the stand opening day, I decided to allow all my customers to help themselves for free, and the place was so crowded with children you could hardly move. The television cameras and the newspaper reporters were there, and the new Duke himself stood outside the road with my friends, the Giraffe and the Pelly and the Monkey, watching the marvelous scene. I came out of the shop to join them for a few moments. I brought each of them a box of extra special sweets as a present. To the Duke, because the weather was a little chilly, I gave some scarlet Scotch droppers that had been sent to me from Iceland. The label said they were guaranteed to make the person who sucked them as warm as toast, even if you were standing stark naked at the North Pole in midwinter. The moment the Duke popped one in his mouth, thick smoke came rushing out of the old boy's nostrils in such quantities that I thought his mustaches were going up in flames. Terrific! He cried, hopping about. Tremendous stuff. I'll take a case of them home with me. To the Giraffe I gave a bag of glumtious gobblers. The globe gobbler is an especially delicious sweet made in somewhere near Mecca. And the moment you bite into it, all the perfumed juices of Arabia go scurrying down your gullet one after the other. It's wonderful, cried the Giraffe as a circuit of lovely liquid flavors poured all the way down her long, long throat. It's even better than my favorite pink and purple flowers. To the pelican I gave a big bag of fishnets. Fishnets, as you probably knew, are bought by children who are unable to whistle and tune as they walk along the street but long to do so. He had a splendid effect upon the pelican, for after he had put one of them into the beak and chewed it for a while, he suddenly started singing like a nightingale. This made him wildly excited because pelicans are not songbirds. No pelican had ever known to whistle a tune before. To the monkey I gave a bag of devil's drenchers, the small fire black switch that one is not allowed to sell to children under 4 years old. When you suck a devil's drencher for a minute or so, you can set your breath alight and blow a huge column of fire 20 feet into the air. The Duke put a match to the monkey's breath and shouted, "Blow, monkey, blow!" A sheet of orange flame shot up as high as the roof of Grover House, and it was wonderful. "I've got to leave you now," I said. "I must go and look after my customers in the shop." "We must go too," said the Giraffe. "We have 100 windows to clean before dark." I said goodbye to the Duke, and then one by one I said goodbye to the 3 best friends I had ever had. Suddenly we all became very quiet and melancholy, and the monkey looked as though he was about to cry as he sang me a little song of farewell. We have tears in our eyes as we wave our goodbyes. We so loved being with you, we 3. So do please now and then come and see us again, the Giraffe and the Pelly and me. All you do is to look at a page in this book, because they're where we always be. No book ever ends when it's full of your friends, the Giraffe and the Pelly and me. The end.